Whataburger Friday Night Stars overtime as we are live from the Star in Frisco, home to the Dallas Cowboys headquarters, and today it's home to Friday Night Lights like it is every Friday, 7 to 11, right here on YouTube and on Vimeo, presented by Game On Sports. I'm Kyle Youmans alongside the great, the awesome, the unbelievably legendary Hekma Harrison.
That's me.
On the other side, we've got the best beard in all of sports, Mr. Zach Wolchuk, stroking the beard, loving every second of it, loving life. And then we've got man bun himself, Mr. Eric Chiofalo. Eric.
Also the best glasses game
He does
in
have
the
some
business.
Those Ray-Bans?
These are actually they are Ray-Bans.
I got Ray-Ban Vision.
I like
call,
it.
good
They look
call.
great. Well, we're going to run through some of the best high school football in the entire country. Of course, it's the Lone Star State. No surprise there. But we've also had some outstanding games
What a
that
night.
we've talked about all the way through, all the way from 7 o'clock. But now that we're in overtime, we're going to start things over. We're starting it from the top. All these games that we've talked about already tonight are starting to go final, and we're going to start things off with Birdville and Grapevine. This one's not final, Eric, correct?
It is not final. I'm waiting on it to go final. Grapevine down by 4 right now with 27 seconds left in the game. They have a 4th and 8 from the Birdville 27. Unfortunately, a field goal is not going to do it for them, so they're going to have to go for it here on 4th down. We'll see if they can convert, but Birdville looking to go 5-0 for the first time since 2012. They are 27 seconds away from doing just that, and credit to the Birdville defense containing that Grapevine offense that we've seen put up 47 points a game. We already know about quarterback Cade Rhodes. This dude's a stud, and they've slowed them down, only putting up 20 points for that Grapevine offense. And again, 24-20, 27 seconds left in this game. As soon as it goes final, I will be sure to let you know.
Well, there you go. That's another great game that we've kept an eye on all night long. One of those games that we kept an eye on, but it wasn't necessarily as great. Well, it was great for the Denton Ryan Raiders. Denton Ryan and Carrollton Newman Smith. This one was dominant from the beginning for the Raiders.
Yep, from the beginning, they never stopped. Foot on the gas from the get-go, 63-7. Ryan wins their 35th straight regular season game behind an outstanding defensive performance and really anybody that you want to name on that offense. Amani Bailey, Drew Sanders doing it on both ways, Ian Hennigan, Seth Hennigan at quarterback, both coming in throwing touchdowns. Everybody got on the stat sheet. Everybody scored for the Ryan Raiders. Really good day to be a son of Ryan.
Wow. Yeah, definitely so. And this one may be the best game we've had all day long. Coppell and Hebron.
What a game.
What a game, and I know you're on top of things, Hekma. Kind of run through what happened in this game, and we might even show a couple highlights here.
Look, guys, this was as advertised. Everybody thought that this was going to be a great matchup. I mean, just some individual matchups was Jonathan McGill versus Trajan Bridges. Hey, that didn't end up being what happened in the end. My guy Hurt, man. He went to work. Ryan Hurt ended the game with 126 yards, 1 touchdown. And this was a heavyweight matchup. 16-15. Guys, look at those yards. 207 rushing yards from Coppell and 195 rushing yards for Hebron. But the one stat that you want to just kind of try and pay attention to is that 17 yards of passing for Coppell. Wow. I don't think anyone came into this game thinking that Coppell would only be able to throw for 17 yards, but that's it for these guys. Matched up perfectly, 12 first downs for both teams. It came down to penalties. And, guys, they say football is a game of inches. It came down to
You got to claw with your fingernails.
I knew you were going to throw that in there. I know it. I teed it up so perfect you fell for it. And it came down to a block field goal.
And let's look at that block field goal, courtesy of the fan
game.
tag cam. Ashley Pickle was on the scene, and she was able to get this field goal. And really from the beginning, it looked like it was going to be a Hebron win, blocked at the end. And Coppell holds on 16-15. We've got Ashley Pickle on the line, the hardest working woman in all of Friday Night Football. Pickle, first off, do we need to send an EMT your way? Because you may have had a heart attack in the middle of that football game.
My blood pressure is through the roof right now, guys. What a game. I mean, I said that in my final report. It does not get better than Texas high school football. And tonight, I mean, I got goosebumps even talking to you right now. I didn't grow up around here. I wasn't super familiar with either of these teams before, tonight or working over the season. But oh my goodness, that was exciting.
Ashley, we know Caden Davis is the kicker, and he's a huge friend, and I think he's a fan of the show as well. He's been a kind of our Friday night star legend of the year so far with his game-winning kick early in the season. Can you confirm or deny whether or not his field goals today, he was blindfolded when he was kicking those?
Man, you would have thought so. My heart hurt for him. I saw him with his family after the game, just looked completely defeated.
Wait.
But I mean,
oh no, this is Coppell's
This is the
kicker.
Coppell
kicker, Caden Davis. This dude, I think he kicked a couple of field
We
goals
asked about the Coppell kicker, Pickle.
47-yarder tonight.
Yes, my bad. Yes. He, on the other hand, was happy with tonight.
Okay.
Let's start with that. So yes, he had that unbelievably long field goal at the beginning of the third quarter to really kind of kick things off there. Just, I mean, he did get one of his blocks too, but it was just an unbelievable game. 4 block kicks tonight. It was insane.
Yeah, Pickle, this is Hekma. Listen, there was an matchup that everybody was talking about before this game, and it was Jonathan McGill versus Trajan Bridges. From your vantage point, what did you see? Was it as evenly matched, or one of those games did Jonathan McGill just completely dominate this matchup?
McGill had an unbelievable game. There's no doubt about it. He had that interception in the end zone at the end of the third, which really, I mean, it capped off the night for him. But I'll tell you what, Trajan is an unbelievable receiver. He had 3 catches tonight that were just, I mean, he at least had to be a half a foot jumping up above the other guys. That was like watching D1 football. Obviously, they're both going to go on and play that, but it was unbelievable. McGill really had one heck of a night, though, for Coppell, and that was the biggest thing for their defense, especially that interception late in the third.
What was the atmosphere like there, Pickle? I know a lot of media outlets, much like ourselves, kind of tabbed this as a game of the week. Was it packed there to the brim in terms of both sides of the stadium?
Coppell didn't show up as much as I thought they were going to, but Hebron, I mean, they were out. The stands were completely full. People standing down along the fence line as well. Yeah, from a media standpoint, I mean, it was everybody's game of the week. It was hyped up, and it 110% lived up to that hype. The energy there the entire night was unbelievable. People were chanting OU when Trajan made that final catch on that 4th and 8 to put them into range to kick the last field goal. I mean, it was unbelievable. And the moment that field goal was blocked there at the end, the stadium fell silent. I mean, other than the Coppell side, but the side from Hebron, I mean, you don't hear a football stadium that packed fall silent that quickly in normal games. And tonight it was just the energy was all over the place.
Ashley, Zach, with you. Coppell comes away with the win, but I got to ask, what was going on with their quarterback situation tonight? Only 17 yards through the air. They're obviously a run-first team with that big offensive line, but should they be concerned about their quarterback position moving forward?
He had an off night tonight. The receivers, they weren't connecting well. When you've got a defense as good as Hebron has, and I mean, especially with they've got some really good defensive backs too. I don't think that it's anything that they're going to worry about too much, but I will say they've got Ryan Hurt, who is the senior running back. He is so versatile, the way that he can move in the backfield and his explosiveness off the ball. The moment he gets that ball in his hands, he just explodes. And I think that the coaches go in knowing that that's their biggest point. I don't think that they're too concerned, but they definitely are going to have their work cut out for him going into next week's practice, just looking at, what can we do to get those receivers more open? What can we do to get Drew moving around better in the pocket so that they don't have to rely on Ryan Hurt as much as they do?
Ashley Pickle live from what was a magnificent football game, 16-15. Coppell wins it late. Ashley, thanks so much. We finally got you a good football game with no rain, and it was a good one to be at. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you next week.
Absolutely. Y'all have fun tonight, guys.
All righty, she goes, Ashley Pickle.
The hardest working woman
in sports.
Better tell him.
No doubt.
No doubt at all. And we'll go through some of these other scores. Irving Nimitz and Flower Mound Marcus. Another good football game, really from the get-go. Flower Mound Marcus pulls away late. Let's go to the fan tag cam. Let's look at some of the stats first. Marcus, 260 yards total offense compared to 495 for Irving Nimitz. But the scoreboard is what counts. And Marcus and the Marauders were able to get the job done. How did they pull this out having that little comparatively yard-wise.
There has to be a story to this game. Something happened.
Hey, Derek Finch was there, and I think we got him on the phone.
Yeah, he is on the phone, and we'll go to him right now to tell that story. Derek Finch. Derek, thanks so much for joining us as we talk a little bit about this Flower Mound Marcus win. What exactly happened? Because it looks like a confusing stat line and a box score from our side of things.
Well, two things. First of all, I'm not surprised at all that Irving Nimitz outgained Flower Mound Marcus by a lot.
Wow.
And I'm also not surprised at all that Flower Mound Marcus won this game. Because what you had coming into it, I think I said in the pregame, was you had one team who had just lost and was trying to regain their balance, and another team who seemingly could not be stopped after losing their first game. And it started a lot like that. Irving Nimitz was playing desperate. They had a relentless pass rush. They were gaining yards. The quarterback, Chance Hernandez, shout out to him, man. That kid's a warrior and a beast running up and down the field. But once the second half kicked off, Flower Mound Marcus scored fast, and they had some adversity, another onside kick, and a long touchdown by Nimitz. But give Flower Mound a lot of credit. They hunkered down, and they just kept pounding that rock, just kept pounding Dinka inside. And what killed Irving late was just turnovers. They had a strip sack or a forced fumble late in the game that Flower Mound Marcus was able to fall on, and then a sack when they were driving, when Nimitz was trying to drive down and score, take the lead again. So to me, it doesn't surprise me that there was a lot of offense on Nimitz's side, but at the same time, I was really, really impressed with Marcus's resolve overall.
Derek, Zach, with you. You mentioned Justin Dinka, the outstanding running back for Marcus. I covered Coach Atkinson when he was at Denton High, and I know if he's got a running back, he is going to feature him. Just tell us a little bit about your impressions from watching Justin Dinka, and then late in the game, if he was just the guy to carry that thing out.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, he had a little bit of a slow start. You could tell Nimitz, a huge part of their game plan was stop Dinka, as it should be. And second half, it's like the great coach Herman Boone says, you just give it it's like Novocaine. Just give it time. It always works. They just kept pounding Dinka and pounding Dinka. And the hole started opening, but what really impressed me about Dinka was his change of direction speed. I would compare him to LaShawn McCoy in the pros. I know that's sort of a lofty comparison to make, but there was time and time again, it looked like there was nothing. Three guys standing right in front of him, and he can just switch and change direction on a dime and take the thing from right to left, and there's nobody anywhere near him. So it's not surprising at all that he's going to be going to San Diego State to play football.
Hey, Derek, this is Hekma Harrison here. I have a question for you about the LSU commit, Marcel Brooks, and that Flower Mound Marcus defense. How did they perform? I mean, I know there was a lot of yards from Irving Nimitz, but it seems like there at the end they pulled through. Talk about that performance by the Flower Mound defense.
Well, I think I mentioned that Marcus scored first in the second half, and Nimitz answered right back with a deep 75-yard pass touchdown. They were constantly attacking that left side of the field. And after that long pass touchdown, they had the onside kick, and I felt like Marcus is going to lose this game because of their defense, because they just can't hunker down and get a stop. But as the game went on, they just played better contained. They were stopping the run. Both teams, huge part of their game plan was just run. And Marcus just was filling the gaps later in the game, late when they needed to, if you follow. And it wasn't an overall impressive effort, but definitely late game resolve. This game was all about mental toughness and all about the fourth quarter for me.
Yeah, definitely so.
You really didn't know which way it was going to go until about 8 seconds left in the game. To be honest with you.
Okay.
Hey, that's a good football game right there. You talked about the late sacks and everything that went on, and just an overall wild football game. Was this one where you look at it, is it a what-if game for Irving Nimitz? Is this game that they'll look back on later on and say, hey, we should have had this?
Well, I think so. I thought they played extremely well. My MVP of the game, even though they lost, would be their quarterback, Mr. Hernandez. Because he's listed as a quarterback linebacker. This is a big dude who's coming running at these DBs. And he played with a lot of heart and a lot of tenacity. And I thought Nimitz was going to blow them out early on. It was 14-0, and it didn't look like Marcus was going to be able to get anything going. So, yeah, it was just a terrific back and forth, and I was glad to be a part of it.
Yeah, thanks so much. Derek Finch live from that Marauder Stadium as Marcus wins it over Irving Nimitz 27-23. Derek, thanks so much. We'll talk to you again next week, buddy.
All right, have a good night.
All right, there he goes, Derek Finch. And Man, another good football game. Let's take a look at that. He talked about the late crucial sack. I have it up on the fan tag cam the way that we had it earlier as we take a look at this. This is late in the football game. You see Nimitz is driving on 3rd down, and they just kind of crashing on in. You see how pumped up that Marauder sideline is, and they get a big-time stop at the end of that football game to win it, and they do hold off Irving Nimitz. And that one basically – it pushed him. A field goal wouldn't have won it late for Nimitz, but it pushed him out of that range of maybe trying to have a better shot at throwing it up to the end zone. Very crucial late in that football game. Let's look at Denison and Lake Dallas. Lake Dallas early in this football game, or really before this football game, we talked about and said, hey, they've got the #1 opportunity to win this. There's no chance for Denison. Denison fought hard in that first half, but despite 5 turnovers for Lake Dallas, they're able to pull ahead at the end.
Incredible to be able to overcome that. You look at all the offense they put up, 25 points in the 4th quarter.
Wow.
For that Lake Dallas team. So that was just they blew the doors open in the 4th quarter there. And credit to Depperschmidt, that team right there putting up 395 yards passing. We know Ryan Depperschmidt's a stud. Credit to Lake Dallas.
Yeah, and credit to Depperschmidt as well. He threw 3 interceptions in the game, comes back late in that 4th quarter, throws 2 touchdowns to really give the Falcons that win and pull away from Denison.
Yeah, definitely. So you got to look at what Lake Dallas was able to do with those 5 turnovers. I don't know how you put up 564 total yards passing, and still have 5 turnovers.
5 possessions got stolen from you.
I think that's unbelievable the way that was able to kind of play out. And we continue with the rest of our the rest of our scores and our rundowns throughout Whataburger Friday Night Stars. We're going to take a little bit of a break here from the Star in Frisco. When we come back, we're going to look at a wild Denton-Geyer South Lake Creole game, Euless Trinity and San Angelo Central, and then we'll look at the game that was at the Ford Center tonight here at the Star. We'll be back with more Whataburger Friday Night Stars Overtime presented by Game On Sports here in just a moment.
This is the Pepsi that your father drank and your grandfather drank.
When I was your age...
Yeah, he said he'll probably...
And your grandmother, she drank it too before she met him.
That was quite the catch,
We know. This is the Pepsi that your Uncle Ted drank when rock sounded like this. And the one he drinks now that rock sounds like this.
Yep.
This is the Pepsi for American pastimes. Whether you're tailgating at a speedway or courtside watching your favorite player make a breakaway...
And he scored!
It even goes well with away games. This is the Pepsi that was made for your mom's famous 5-alarm chili. You know, the one she refuses to give the recipe to?
Never gonna happen.
Don't worry, your secret's safe with us. This is the Pepsi that makes you say, hee, ba 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 ba, and baby. This is the Pepsi for those who are forever fun. This is the Pepsi for every generation.
Welcome to your hometown Whataburger. We make sure that our customers get their order hot and fresh.
I ordered the original Whataburger.
I got the #2 Whataburger double, and I got bacon on it because everyone loves bacon.
We don't make it until you order it.
Their ingredients are so fresh, and you can taste it. Tomato, lettuce, and the onions all the time is fresh.
We cut our vegetables 3 times a day.
They gave me a hot and fresh burger the way I like it, so I'm happy.
Your hometown Whataburger, serving it hot and fresh all day, every day.
Tour the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco. VIP guided tours give Cowboys fans an inside look at the place where the Dallas Cowboys train and work. Fans have the opportunity to see the Cowboys' state-of-the-art war room, grand atrium, a display of all 5 Super Bowl trophies and rings, and more. Connect with the Cowboys in ways you never imagined. VIP guided tours are available daily. Get your tour tickets now at thestarinfrisco.com. That's thestarinfrisco.com.
It's true. Everything's better when the Cowboys win, especially Papa John's Pizza. New this season, every time the Cowboys win, you get 50% off regular menu price pizzas the next day at papajohns.com. That's half-price pizzas with promo code CowboysWin. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's, official pizza of your Dallas Cowboys. Limited time offer, not valid with any other coupons or discounts. Prices, participation, delivery area, and charges may vary.
Dr. Pepper is the one you crave. But how do you explain that craving?
Imagine a surging river of ice-cold Dr. Pepper, roaring with carbonated mists of desire. You're dangling above it, upside down, like a fishing lure in the wind. 23 flavors tickle your nose, but the river is too far away to taste. Dr. Pepper calls to you. You.
Now that is a Dr. Pepper craving. Dr. Pepper, the one you crave.
Located at Dallas Cowboys Headquarters at the Star in Frisco, Cowboys Fit offers a comprehensive gym experience with over 60,000 square feet of workout space, personal training, group fitness classes, a heated rooftop pool, and luxury amenities, including the same state-of-the-art equipment used in the Dallas Cowboys team facility. A dedicated recovery lounge featuring hydro massage and cryotherapy, a health and nutrition bar, and so much more. For more information or to join, visit cowboysfit.com.
You know those little pins you push in a map? The ones that show you all the places you've traveled to? Well, thanks to American Airlines, you're about to run out of pins. With the most destinations of any airline in the world, American brings you closer to your next trip, wherever it is on the map. So, get ready to explore some new points of interest. The most destinations of any airline in the world. That's American Airlines. Pins not included.
Hats, backpack shorts and sneakers, helmets, shoulder pads, knee pads, and cleats, Adidas and JanSport, Under Armour and Nike, hoodies, jerseys, leggings, and shoes.
Start your back-to-school season for less with our head-to-toe selection of sports essentials for under $30 and top brands and footwear under $60. Academy Sports and Outdoors, for all for less.
Ever wonder what it's like to play for the Dallas Cowboys?
We scratch, we claw, we fight.
To sit in the same locker room as your favorite Cowboys players. To run into the end zone.
Touchdown, Cowboys!
You could do all that and more when you tour AT&T Stadium. Play on the field. See the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders' locker room and gain access to areas where fans are never allowed on game day. It's all possible with AT&T Stadium Tours. Presented by SeatGeek. Tours are available daily. Visit attstadium.com for details.
Texas high school football. Whataburger Friday Night Stars overtime live from the Star in Frisco. Zach Wolchuk's fired up. Eric Chiofalo is losing his mind. And Hekma Harrison, well, he's chill as can be because he's never gets too high, never gets too low.
That's why we love Hekma.
Cooler than the Hindu cow, guys. Let's go.
Wow,
that's a first.
I've never heard that one before. I thought you were going to do the other side of the pillow, little.
Nah. I got them all night, guys.
That one was better.
Heck was way too original for that.
That's true. I like that. Louisville Fighting Farmers 14, Irving MacArthur Cardinals 10 in a tight ball game all the way up until the very end. MacArthur was leading this game up until the fourth quarter, and we've got Lane Lewis on the line. He was on the call for the Louisville Fighting Farmers, who ended up on the winning side of things. Lane, first off, thanks for joining us here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars. And this is a game that it doesn't look like there was really a whole lot happening until that fourth quarter. Tell us about what went on there.
Yeah, it was sort of a sloppy game, but both teams really needing a victory in district play. They both lost games last week in which they led in the fourth quarter. But it was a sloppy game. Neither team was able to really get something consistently going on offense. In the second half, I don't think Louisville had a single first down. The only points in the winning touchdown came on a punt return, a 77-yard punt return by Dalen Clark of Louisville that gave them the lead. The defense for Louisville was unbelievable, holding an offense in MacArthur that really couldn't throw the ball. They've got a sophomore starting quarterback that couldn't consistently find guys open down the field. Anything he could complete was just short and trying to make things easy for him. The Louisville defense was unbelievable. They 3 and outs anytime they had the opportunity to. And at the end of the game, it was MacArthur. They had the ball driving, trying to cut into that lead. It was 14-10, and a really huge play. They picked up a couple of first downs and in a little bit of a hurry up threw a trick play with their backup quarterback throwing down the field and actually completed it down to the 5-yard line with about 15 seconds left. It was called back on an illegal man downfield penalty, and the game ended just 2 plays later. So almost a walk-off victory for MacArthur, but just not able to get it done at the end.
Lane, what's going on with that Louisville offense? Only 6 first downs in the game, a total of 150 yards and 3 turnovers. They still come out on top, but what's going on with that offense?
Yeah, they're not able to throw the ball consistently. It's an issue that a lot of teams in high school have. I know y'all are very aware of that. Just about every team can run the ball. It's rare that you get a high school offense that can throw the ball consistently. Louisville is no different. They've got a quarterback that's a lot more effective running the ball than he is throwing the ball. But even then, they didn't run him that much at all. Their big offensive player is Ben McAfee. He's the running back who's coming into today in their first 4 games had run for over 100 yards in 3 of the 4. I think he had 475 yards or so coming into today. I think he had ended with 22 carries for something like 54 yards. Just weren't able to get him going because the MacArthur defense, which was really stout up front, a huge defensive line, knew that that's really all that they had was McAfee. They keyed on him the entire game, and they were just never able to move the ball. The one touchdown that they had offensively was a little screen pass to Dalen Clark, who was the same guy who returned the punt for a touchdown on a 3rd and 5 in which the corner was playing 10 yards off of him. And by the time he got to the first down marker, he had 4 blockers in front of him, and it was an easy touchdown. Other than that, they were never able to move the ball consistently. And if it wasn't for that punt return touchdown, there's no way they would have come away with a victory today.
Lane, in District 6-6A, in my opinion, this was kind of a de facto elimination game for the playoffs. For Louisville, obviously a huge win. Looking down the line, I mean, do you think, I know this is a small sample size for you filling in for Nick calling this game, but do you think this is a Louisville Fighting Farmer team that can make the playoffs?
I think it is, and the reason why is I'm going to use some context because the team that they lost against last week, Flower Mound, was a game in which Louisville was leading in the 3rd quarter 28-7, ended up losing that game 35-28. What did Flower Mound do today? Oh, they just put up 62 points or so. I believe it was on Nimitz. On the other side of things, MacArthur last week played Coppell, a game in which they led against Coppell 21-14 going into the 4th quarter and ended up losing that game 28-21. Coppell's in first place right now in the district with their victory over Hebron tonight, but all 5 of those teams were so closely matched that I don't see anybody pulling away from anybody else, and I think Louisville has, if not the best defense, one of the best defenses in this district. And if they can just figure out an identity on offense, it's early in the season. If they can get an identity and figure out how to move the ball down the field, they have playmakers on offense. Guys like Dalen Clark, a freshman wide receiver who might be their best receiver in Armani Winfield. If they can just get an identity on offense, I absolutely think this team can make the playoffs.
Hey, Lane, this is Hekma Harrison. I wanted to ask you, man, the kid Gabriel Sanders, I know we don't have any injury reports or anything in high school, but he's been Mr. Everything for MacArthur. Where was he tonight? I didn't even see him on the stat sheet.
I was just going to say, I mean, this is my first time seeing MacArthur, and I don't think we called his name a single time.
Wow.
I know that the big guy kind of coming into today that we were worried about on the Louisville side was Demetrius Chairs. This is the receiver who had 2 touchdowns in their loss last week. On the last play of MacArthur's game against Coppell last week, he gets injured, has to be carted off the field with a neck injury. The coach told us this week that he was a game-time decision, was limited in practice all week. Chairs actually suited up and played this game. I think he only had 2 or 3 catches, but definitely the injury limiting him a little bit. But he was the lone guy that we were really concerned about just with the success that he had a week ago. But because of the injury, I really don't think he was able to have the impact that he normally does.
Wow. An unbelievable game defensively. The offense still trying to figure some things out on both sides, and a big district win for Louisville. Lane Lewis, thanks so much for joining us here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars. We'll talk to you again soon, man.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you, brother.
Lane Lewis, there he goes. Hey, that's pretty pretty interesting. He gets to call a Louisville game, and his last name's Lewis.
Yeah.
I was very tempted to ask him about the origins of Louisville, if his family had any involvement
Okay, any
there.
involvement there?
Not
I
sure.
think that he might have been. He might have
Maybe
been
he
one of
never-
the
he might
original
be
founders. One of those fighting farmers.
The mayor of Louisville.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe that's in his
Lane
future.
Louisville.
Wow. That would be interesting. Well, let's move on to one of the best games of the entire night. Denton Guyer and South Lake Carroll. My goodness, this was a barn burner from the get-go. Back and forth, back and forth. Denton Guyer finally healthy. And we got to look here at Zach Wolchuk. What's going on with this Denton Guyer South Lake Carroll game? Holy cow.
Yeah, so South Lake Carroll 33-29. They get the victory, man. Big time win for South Lake Carroll. And it came down to, we showed it from the fan tag. It was a wide receiver pass to win it for South Lake Carroll. Unbelievable way to finish it. And statistically, I mean, you look at this one, obviously rushing. We knew coming into it. Denton Guyer, they want to run the football, 320 yards rushing, almost 100 yards more. An excellent tandem there now with Eli Stowers at quarterback, who went 134 yards and a couple of touchdowns, and Kadrick Cobbs, who's back toting the rock for them, 169 yards and a couple of scores for Cobbs as well. On the other side, really, there was not much going on aerial-wise for South Lake Carroll. Will Bowers through the air, only 13 of 19, 108 yards, but it was the ground game for them as well. TJ McDaniel, 154 yards, 3 scores, and a Will Bowers, 68 yards and a touchdown. And the man who got to call it all for 88.1 FM, KNTU, Grayson Nolette. Grayson, this has to be one of the best games you've gotten to call in a while. And I know whenever it's Denton Guyer, South Lake Carroll, we can expect a tight one.
Grayson, you there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, there you go. Hey, we just gave you a
Hey,
pretty big
Grayson.
intro. How fun was that game to call, man?
Dude, that was by far the most fun I have had calling a football game so far, period. Whether it be color commentating, play-by-play, anything I've done, that was a barn burner for sure, as you guys said. That was insane. I had so much fun calling that one. Honestly, I still got some adrenaline over it.
So, Grayson, I got to ask you, because last time we talked, it was after a Guyer game, and it was not the Denton Guyer that we're accustomed to. But you look just from the stat sheet and from the highlights that we were seeing tonight with Eli Stowers and Kadrick Cobbs back, this is a Denton Guyer team that almost knocked off one of the top teams in the state. What has made the difference so far for Guyer and almost pulling off that win tonight?
Man, I'll tell you something. We haven't, the KNTU crew, we broadcasted Guyer's first game back in week 1, and we haven't seen them since. This was the second time we called them this season. And my goodness, they looked like a completely different football team, especially quarterback Eli Stowers, because if you're just looking for anyone that contributed, it was the combination of him and Cobbs, because Stowers just, the amount of confidence and his play calling and his ability to read the defense as a sophomore who's never played a lick of Texas high school football, varsity football. And just through 5 games, the amount of improvement that I've seen out of him is absolutely phenomenal. And then that Denton Guyer team, having Kadrick Cobbs out on the football field, it just makes everybody better. It doesn't matter whether you're on the offensive or defensive side of the ball. Everybody knows that Kadrick Cobbs is out there doing his thing, and he had a monstrous game. Couple of touchdowns that were totally highlight worthy. I wish they could have recorded them on camera, because some of the stiff arms, some of the runs that Kadrick Cobbs made tonight, he's back, guys. He's absolutely back.
Hey, Grayson, that was exactly my question for you, man. As far as Kadrick Cobb and his physical running this game and those stiff arms, I mean, we're looking at this here in yeah, man, we're looking at that here in
that
the
one
studio.
He had on the touchdown run was the stadium exploded. That was one of the meanest stiff arms I've ever seen. He was running with some tenacity, guys. He's healthy. He's ready to go. He owns this team after tonight.
Awesome, man.
Wow. Yeah, owns the team, but they didn't own the game, though. That's the only thing. You look at really, yeah, a little upset there, but you look at this game overall, South Lake Carroll, we kind of herald them as one of those teams that can make a run in the playoffs after the regular season comes to an end. Did they look like that to you in this ball game?
You know, I still have this kind of question in my head myself, because I really did come into this when I was looking at it on paper, I was like, man, I really hope Cobbs does his thing and this becomes a ball game. But I was thinking maybe it was going to be a South Lake Carroll blowout. But the Dragons, I don't know what it was. I would probably put it on the play of their quarterback, Will Bowers, and the fact that they are just trounced at wide receiver right now. They've got 2 wide receivers out tonight. One of them was injured last week, out for the season. And they called up a freshman tonight for this game, and also he caught the game-winning pass. But we were told pregame that the backup quarterback, Blake Smith, he was going to see extensive time at wide receiver for tonight's game. So they called up a freshman. They said that their backup quarterback was going to be a huge part of the wide receivers. They're just scrambling for plug-ins at wide receiver right now. So I think Carroll definitely are suffering in terms of their passing game right now. But thankfully, their running back, TJ McDaniel, he came in clutch when he needed to tonight.
Yeah, what a matchup of running backs. Cobb finishing with 169 yards on 28 carries, while McDaniel scored 3 touchdowns and ran for 154 yards on 17 total carries. Grayson, thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk to you again next week, man.
Absolutely, man.
Grayson NOLETTE on the call for what was one of the more incredible games. Of course, the wide receiver pass from
Well, that makes
Coach
sense,
Dodge.
right? I think it was Blake Smith, who's the backup quarterback, that they put out there at receiver for tonight because of the injuries. So you've got your guy who you know can throw, so you're a little bit more confident in calling that.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense now, because I'm wondering, you take the ball out of Will Bowers' hands and you're going to throw the ball. Wow, you got to know you got somebody there that can throw it. Backup quarterback. I wonder if that guy or defense had any clue, hey, personnel-wise, is this, we know this is the backup. They clearly, obviously, it didn't work because they scored on the play, but you wonder if they had any clue that he was not only even on the field, but if they knew he was on the field, do they even know that this is their backup quarterback? Yeah. We need to be paying attention to this guy.
Yeah, definitely so. And we kind of talk about the running backs and the matchup there. Well, one of the coolest things about Southlake Carroll is that for the first time in their program's history, they have a female kicker on that ball club. And one of our reporters, Adrian Jagish, was at the game. He got a chance to catch up with Madison Martin, the first ever female player on Southlake Carroll after the win. She did kick a field goal in this ball game, and he got a chance to catch up with her. Adrian, what's going on?
Hey guys, I'm here with Madison Martin, a kicker for the Southlake Dragons, and as well, she's the first female player for the team. How do you feel about that?
It's a lot of fun. It's a different situation, new opportunity, but I've had a lot of fun with it, yeah.
So did you just fall into this, or did you just try out, or what inspired you to join the team?
So I actually played throughout my middle school, and then my freshman year. I stopped for my sophomore and junior year, and then decided to come back. But I originally started in middle school because I had a neighbor who was a kicker, and so he just really inspired me going out to trainings and stuff with him. Awesome,
awesome. So you are setting an example for young girls everywhere. Does that make you nervous, or are you proud of that, or?
I'm really proud of that. It's really such a blessing to be able to have that platform, and just getting the opportunity. Yeah, it is nerve-wracking because I have such a large role to fill, especially for young girls. But for me, I'm so blessed to have this opportunity. Yeah.
What would you say to women in male-dominated sports, hobbies, or jobs? Do you have any advice for them?
Just that if you work hard and you believe you can do it, don't let anyone tell you that you can't, because you can, especially if you work hard, and I feel like that's something that I'm here to prove, yeah.
And lastly, how do you feel about tonight's win?
It was incredible, especially the final drive, John Monero with that throw. It's a great way to win. Maybe not the way we wanted it to, but a win's a win, and we finished out strong and we fought for the whole game.
Awesome, thank you, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Definitely a really cool moment.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's worth the clap from everybody.
Absolutely.
But Madison Martin, and she kicked a field goal, had a couple extra points as well. And she talked about that last drive. And for one final time, we've showed it a couple times, but it's worth another look. This is the game-winning touchdown on the fan tag cam for Southlake Carroll. And we get to look at it again, now with a little bit of sound involved as well. Let's look at this. This is with 6 seconds left in the ball game. Wide receiver pass over the top of everybody. Oh, man. Just chaos.
Crazy.
At Dragon Stadium, an unbelievable game. Final score 33.
What a night of football, guys. I'm telling you, man. I mean, not only that game, but probably 10, 12 other games.
Well, let's get to the rest of those games as we go at it. One of those games that wasn't necessarily as close as we thought it was going to be, but it may have been one of the more impressive wins of the entire season. Euless Trinity and San Angelo Central on the road at San Angelo Central. Zach, tell me, what was that final score?
Yeah, the final of that one was 70-28.
Wow.
Euless Trinity gets the victory over San Angelo Central. Again, Brandon Theus, I'm sure, did his thing. the Euless Trinity Trojans just came out. They got up big, and they never looked back. Big win on the road against a Bobcat team that we've talked about. Very proud tradition, perennial playoff power, starting quarterback out for the year due to an ACL, and clearly they missed him tonight.
Yeah, his name's Maverick, by the way. So you know he's a stud
I was
player.
just setting that up. Maverick is a heck of a name.
I mean, and you see what a difference an injury makes to a team like Denton Geyer. Obviously, they are reeling from losing their quarterback, because if they had him, definitely would have been a different game.
No question, especially a San Angelo team that is trying to spread the ball out.
Yeah.
That dude, Maverick, for them is really everything. So that was a huge loss for them, but a great victory for Trinity.
Yeah, definitely. So moving on from that one to the game that was at the Ford Center for Frisco Wakeland and Frisco Lone Star. Another impressive win, but maybe in a different fashion. The defense showing up for Lone Star, guys.
Yeah, the defense shows up for Lone Star every week, okay? It was the one thing about this game was all about Julian Larry showing up. Although these numbers are not impressive, 99 yards, but those two TDs, the one TD pass that he threw and the one running that they had was what all they needed to ice the game for Frisco Lone Star. As you can see, 245 total yards, most of that on the ground, 146 yards rushing. Both teams had a turnover, but look at those first downs, guys. Lone Star 16 first downs to Wakeland, being held to only 6 first downs in the whole game. Guys, 98 total yards for Wakeland.
We know how that defense is.
Lone Star
lethal.
defense is for real.
Yeah, definitely so.
And a clean game, only 2 penalties. They didn't beat themselves, and their big-time players made plays. Darren Smith with a touchdown, and Julian Larry making that 1 touchdown throw. So they got what they needed to from their star players in order to pull that one out.
That's a Lone Star team that doesn't beat themselves. They play good defense. You don't beat themselves. They're a very disciplined football team, and whenever you see games like this, it works out in their favor. Now, it'll be interesting playoff-wise. We've seen how they were able to shut down a team like Highland Park with that high-powered offense, but playoff-wise, you're going to see some more offenses that can kind of make some things happen and maybe shake some things up. Moving on from that one at the Ford Center, how about Keller, Timber Creek, and Keller? This one at Keller ISD in the athletic complex there. Overall, Keller may have come in the favorite, and they come out on top as well.
Look, Sloan Henry had a baller game today. I mean, this guy showed up and showed out. I mean, 206 yards passing today. And my man, Enoch Njobo, I can't say that name enough. Another guy had a monster game tonight. I think he had like 158 yards on the ground, and someone else got in on it. But still, Keller definitely dominated this game from start to finish.
Yeah, they definitely did. You look at the balanced attack from Keller, 210, 206, about as balanced as you can get it.
And it sets up a big game against Eaton on Thursday Night Football. Keller versus Northwest Eaton, big-time district implications in that one, and a big win for Keller coming off that loss to South Lake Carroll. Always a question, how does a team bounce back after a tough loss? Big game last week, Battle of Unbeatens. They get that first loss, and they played pretty well tonight.
Yeah, definitely did. How about Paris and Anna? This is a game earlier that Paris was dominating. How did that one end up turning out? A little bit of the shedding the light on those 4A ranks as we look at the final score from District 7 4A, and no surprise, Paris up 27-0. They win it against Anna. That's an impressive Paris football team. They had a big win last week as well.
Yeah, and coming into that one, this game was pretty close on paper. Both undefeated teams, both of them have been battle-tested in 3A, and it was all Paris tonight. I mean, Kobe Savage didn't have to do much, 2 for 2, 100 yards and a score. His night was done after that, but it was really all about the running game. Dorian Williams, 162 yards and a touchdown. Katie Washington joined the action with 70 yards and a touchdown. So that was Paris's calling card. Dominate, time of possession, run the football effectively, and clearly their defense with a big shutout.
Baby.
Yeah,
Absolutely. That Paris defense played a great game.
Yeah, I mean, you can look just from the numbers and see that is definitely the truth. How about Texarkana, Texas High, and McKinney North? Wow, this was a barn burner of a football game. Let's talk about it.
That is the definition of a barn burner right here. 47-44.
Wow.
McKinney North pulls out a squeaker. Guys, Hunter Che rushed for 196 yards in this game, 3 touchdowns.
Hunter Che, another cool name.
A complete monster game. Look at the domination there on the ground. McKinney North runs for 370 yards, while the Texas high school only runs for 46 yards. Now on the passing side of that, that's where all of it came from for Texas High. Colton Clark, guys, that's a name you better recognize. 6'3", 220 pounds, 20 pounds. This kid is Mr. Everything for these guys, but also has an arm. This 370 yards and the
5
turnovers.
touchdowns. No picks, though, for him.
Yeah, 5.
So he did everything he could to win this game. And Hekma, can I get a little bit of an apology from you here? You're like, why'd you put Texarkana, Texas
my bad.
on this game? Well, I'll tell you why, because Texas High plays good football.
Yeah,
they really took it to McKinney North today and almost pulled it out. But a big win for the Bulldogs to be able to survive. And they did so without Cam Constantine, who I believe is their most electrifying offensive player.
I'm also impressed that McKinney North had so many rushing yards, 370 rushing yards. They were under 100 passing yards. And then on the other side, it was over 300 yards passing and under 100 yards rushing for Texarkana, Texas High. So very differing, really, strategies from both of these programs. But McKinney North does ultimately end up on top. Guys, if we look at the private school level here for just a moment, who's the best quarterback in the private school level in the area right now?
Preston Stone.
It's Preston Stone.
And it might not just be private school.
It might not just be private school. He's one of the best, and we saw a touchdown pass from him earlier. Preston Stone, 308 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Parish Episcopal wins 31-7 over Fort Worth Christian and the Cardinals. We've got Jackson Donovan on the phone. Jackson was on the call for Parish Episcopal, and another big win for the Panthers. They're now 5-0, Jackson, and moving on to play Bishop Dunn next week. A huge matchup in the private school ranks. But first, tell us about what happened here in this matchup today.
Honestly, for the first half, it was all defense by both teams. Preston Stone, look forward to watching him play all week long. Came out a little bit slow in that first half, but to start the second half, 2 touchdowns in the first 6 minutes completely flipped the story in this game.
Jackson, Zach, with you. Coming into this one, it looked like on paper, offensively, like you said, both offenses came in hot. Fort Worth Christian especially. Talk about that Parish defense and what they were able to do to nullify that.
The secondary for the Panthers was completely off the charts today. When you look at, on the defensive side, Logan Rayborn really stuck out for me on the corner, was able to completely shut down the right side of the field, and there was absolutely no rushing attack coming out of the Cardinals' backfield.
Jackson, I don't know if this is a correct statistic here, but I'm looking at the stat line on the box score. Parker Stone was the leading receiver in the game tonight, had 93 yards. Is there any relation? I'm guessing there is a relation there to Preston Stone, correct? Okay. What was that kind of connection like, seeing the brother-to-brother connection tonight?
It was absolutely brilliant. I will put out there, he ended up being the leading receiver on the team mostly because he was the best leader on the team. Early in that second half, Khalil Overton went down, and he had been getting most of the targets for the first half. And when he went down, Parker Stone, the senior, stepped in, said, "I've got this," and completely took over the passing game.
Jackson Donovan on the call for Parish Episcopal and the Panthers as they take down the Fort Worth Christian Cardinals 31-7. Jackson, thanks so much. We'll talk to you again next week, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
There he goes, Jackson Donovan, and another good game at the the Parish Episcopal level. They're 5-0.
Sets up Goliath matchup with Bishop Dunn. What is it, Kyle?
It's done.
It's done?
It's always been done, baby.
Okay.
Always done,
Except
man.
for last week.
Just double checking with you.
Aledo and Midlothian. This is a game early on that was closer than we thought it was really going to be. And Midlothian kind of hanging around until that second half. And finally, Aledo able to pull away. What happened here, guys?
Heckman, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah, I want to apologize to Chase McClendon.
Okay.
Right now, I want to just say I'm sorry.
Chase McClellan?
McClellan. I'm sorry.
McClellan,
baller. I made a mistake.
We knew that.
He is.
Oh my God.
First play of the second half, he took a 62-yarder to the house.
Well, so he goes into halftime. No. He pulls up on YouTube Friday Night Stars. And he hears Hekma. Oh, well, then I'm not doing much. I've got 2 first-half touchdowns.
Mediocre is what I said.
I'm not mediocre. Woo. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and show Hekma Harrison what mediocre is. Woo. Adios to the Aledo Bearcats. They just don't lose. Rarely ever. Perennial state title champions. And They look well on their way again.
I don't know how we've talked about Jace McClellan so long without saying his stat line. 168 yards, 7.5 yards per carry, 5. Count them 5.
Hey, you know what? Hekma,
touchdown scores.
I'm going to do you a favor.
What's that?
I'm going to make this easy for you.
Okay.
Your Friday night star is going to be Chase McClellan.
Thank you.
It needs to be a thing.
There you go. That'll make up for
5 TDs and an unbelievable
heck of a game, man. That dude is a savage.
Wow. Yeah, that's unbelievable. He's all over the place. How about this game? Rockwall and Mesquite Horn. I'm excited to see this final score because I haven't even looked at it yet. Rockwall, they were trailing earlier, but they pull it out. Mesquite Horn is 0-6, guys.
Man, and that's a heartbreaker.
Heartbreaker. They played well.
They played well enough to win, but just not well enough.
Those 3 turnovers hurt.
Really quiet second half, and it really came down to the third quarter. You know, Horn gets shut out in the third quarter. Rockwall kicks a field goal, and after an explosive first half that seemingly took 3 hours to play, the defense has settled into things in the second half, and unfortunately, Horn unable to get it done against the Rockwall Yellow Jackets. A game they really had to have. I think you can safely say it's probably over for them now.
Well, those 3 turnovers right there for Horn, that's probably what they're going to look back at and think, man, this is kind of where we lost the game. Not to mention 13 penalties. I mean, those are 2 easy ways to lose football games. They still hang in there, but man, what a shame. And wasn't this a pick'em game? Weren't we picking them?
Oh yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
We picked them.
Did you pick Horn?
Oh yeah, we did not pick that one.
Oh, we didn't.
No,
I didn't do that.
We definitely
Rockwall,
did that.
It was a close game.
He backed off on your
Horn
pick in last second and decided to
Horn.
go
This is just a sad season for Horn,
It is,
man.
it's
They
tough.
just can't seem
Is
to
it
get
safe
it going.
to say that there's a very good chance that Mesquite Horn might be the best 0-6 team in the history of Texas high school football, or at least on the list?
Could be understated.
Coming into the season, they were a team that a lot of people probably thought could win this district with Jermaine Givens returning at quarterback, and Givens did his thing on the ground, I think over 120 yards and a touchdown, but those 3 interceptions, super costly. And Rockwall, you can't do that. You can't give them added possessions when you have Jacob Clark at quarterback who had 4 touchdowns tonight, and Jackson, Smith, and Jiba doing his thing again, 3 receiving touchdowns.
This kid is so explosive.
Unbelievable. 159 yards, 13 catches. I mean, good luck slowing him down.
And it's safe to say that this is a schedule for Mesquite Horn that's not going to get any easier. They play Longview next week.
They're in a very tough district. I mean, they're done, man.
They play,
and I hate
there's
to say
a very
that.
good chance that they could be 0-7. Then they'll play Rockwall Heath. That's a Rockwall Heath team that I think we could look at and say, hey, Mesquite
hopefully
Horn's
that's
gonna win that
homecoming
game.
for the
maybe
Jags.
they can get the Rockwall Heath game.
It goes Rockwall Heath, North Mesquite, Tyler Lee. I think you can win all 3 of those games if you're Mesquite Horn, but you would start 0-7.
Finish 3-7.
This is when, man.
But you have those 3 wins at the end of the year. You feel good about next year.
They need a big time upset win. They've got to win out. If they're even going to have a smidgen of a chance, they got to win out.
Yeah, they have to.
No
they,
question.
4-2 in district. That's gonna have to do it.
But guys, I want to tell you a couple teams in the state I think we've recognized as second half teams. Rockwall is one of those teams. They have a slow start, but in the second half they just explode. Same for Aledo. Same for the the Dragons.
South Lake.
South Lake, they're the same second half team. They start off slow, but they will explode on you in the second half.
Well, let's go through some of these other games. Weatherford at Haltom. What goes on at Haltom? This is a game that we picked earlier as well. And really, overall, you looked at Haltom coming into the game, and they were the favorite. We all picked them, I believe, across the board, and we all were correct.
Did we all pick
39-29.
I feel like somebody was into Weatherford.
I think I was kind of into Weatherford, but I still picked Haltom.
Okay. Nobody wanted to go with the Kangaroos.
Nope, not this week.
Yeah, well, Haltom got it done, 39-29. They did their thing, and look, it's just a special year for the Haltom Buffaloes. They're undefeated. Things are clicking, and we featured Michael Black, their outstanding quarterback, coming into this one. Black through the air, relatively pedestrian stat line, 10 of 15, 2 touchdowns and a pick. On the ground, though, 2 rushing scores, only 33 yards. So, he was held statistically by the Weatherford defense. They limited him, but still couldn't keep him out of the end zone, and Haltom did what they did. Just a special year. I mean, there's certain teams. Birdville's another one of those teams. Things just kind of seem to fall into place. Haltom's one of those teams this year.
And credit to Weatherford, though, for playing good defense. That's a Haltom team that puts up 55 points a game, 600 yards of offense, and you can see they didn't do really anywhere near that.
Yeah, not even close. Now let's look at another game that we looked at and predicted earlier. Pilot Point and Whitesboro. This was a good football game, guys. And Pilot Point pulls it out by 3.
Man, thanks a lot, Sparkman.
Yep. Pilot Point wins it. Hekma's increasing his lead a little bit.
Is this thing on?
Oh, it's on.
Okay. 28-25. Not a surprise for any of us over here on this side of the table.
You're darn right.
3-point game, not a surprise.
Not a surprise.
Not a surprise, baby.
We knew it the whole time.
We knew the whole time.
The flip-flopper himself.
We picked it with confidence.
We did.
Jacob Pitts went off tonight, guys. I mean, he did it on the ground.
Hits for Pilot Point,
He did it in the air. I mean, he did it everywhere. It rhymes.
Scout Sanders, where were you tonight, brother?
He tried. Scout tried. He had a good game on the ground, 139 yards and a touchdown.
Scout Sanders did his thing too, man. He's awesome on the ground.
That interception. The interception did it for him.
Not enough for the mighty Pilot Point Bearcats.
Come on, Whitesboro. Really breaking our heart over here.
Wow. Just unbelievable. But one more game of a highlighted standpoint, then we'll get through the 6A, 5A, and 4A scores. Duncanville and Skyline, and really this is not the game that Skyline had envisioned. Safe to say.
It was.
I don't think they wanted to envision this by any means.
Well, I mean, look at this. Everything that the Panthers did was...
I mean, look at this. Hekma's like, look, I thought this would happen, but Skyline was thinking maybe we got a shot. My guy Velton came in here ready to rock.
Velton had a few yards passing, but listen, the guy Velton with the cat quick feet and all that stuff, 8 yards rushing. I mean, 9 yards rushing. They shut it. The Panthers defense, guys, I'm telling you, is the answer in the state to all of the problems that you're looking forward to, right? And I'm telling you, the Panthers are for real. 420 yards rushing. They completely dominated this game from start to finish. The penalties is worrying me a little bit. 13 for 113.
Both teams had some. I wonder if there's some personal fouls.
It had to have been.
It gets a little chippy. You get two DISD schools. They don't like each other.
Right. Had to have been. But 19 first downs to the Raiders, 11 first downs. A dominant game by the Duncanville Panthers.
Yeah, definitely dominant. And that's a team that a lot of people, including Hekma Harrison, have their eye on to potentially win a state championship.
Hey,
Zach called it from the beginning.
He called it from the start.
Zach called it from the beginning. He definitely did. So that's it for our highlighted games. Zach, we've got some 6A scores. Let's run down the remaining scores throughout the 6A level here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars.
Well, 62-14, the Flower Mound Jaguars are still alive in their district. We talked about Keller. We talked about Louisville Saxe, 49-0 over Garland. Wiley got a big 28-16 win over Garland. Lakeview Centennial. That's back-to-back wins for the Wiley Pirates. Abilene. Amo, yep.
Yeah, Amo.
Abilene coming into town against Hearst LD Bell. They take care of business 28-7. Mesquite and Rockwall Heath, the game of safeties. 6-4 is your final.
No way.
And Rockwall Heath, despite giving up 2 safeties, was able to score once, and that's all they needed.
Wow.
They get the victory. Arlington Martin wins their first of the year, 54-43. They defeat North Crowley. Tyler Lee loses to North Mesquite. North Mesquite with the 41-34 win over Tyler Lee, and W.T. White with the 40-7 win over Molina. Those are the rest of your 6A scores.
And then moving on to 5A, Eric's got the pulse of 5A's level.
That's right. Denton 48 over Carrollton R.L. Turner 7. And then we had Frisco over Princeton 47-34. Lone Star 14-0 over Frisco Wakeland. Frisco Centennial 17-10 over Little Elm. Colony beats Frisco Liberty 42-10. Tyler John Tyler 51-3 over Wiley East. South Oak Cliff 63-0 over Adamson. And Cleburne over Arlington Seguin 44-25. Birdville ended up taking that Grapevine game 24-20. So 5-0 for Birdville for the first time since 2012. Seagoville over Conrad 56-6. Corsicana 28-0 over Terrell. Sulphur Springs 56-47 over Forney. North Forney 49-21 over Greenville, and Kimball over Spruce 55-7.
And really, really quickly, Hekma, what are your final 4A and underscores?
All right, Paris 27-0 over Anna. Salina 45-0 over Paris North Lamar. Argyle completely dominated Sanger 75-6. Carrollton Ranchview 62-7 over Hillcrest. Kennedale 49-0 over Fort Worth Western Hills. Alvarado 58-6 over North Dallas. Wilma Hutchins beat my Uncle Meatless's Pinkston Vikings.
Yeah, unbelievable week of Whataburger Friday Night Stars. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Friday_stars, and we will give our stars of the weeks, the teams of the weeks, coach of the week there, as well as the student section of the week. Thank you so much for joining us on what was an unbelievable week 6 of Friday Night Lights. Until next time, for Hekma Harrison, Zach Wolchuk, and Eric Chiofalo, I'm Kyle Youmans. God bless.